Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth installment of Why Me? Question that so many of us face. Why am I the victim? Why has this happened to me? Why has this specific problems come knocking on my door? So, in the third installment, we stopped at the point of figuring it out that how alone you might feel upon realizing that you are, your higher self is the creator of your own destiny, is the writer of your own script, the writer of your own unique problem. And in the end of part three, we were talking about how you need to stay in that space and not run away. Because if you do stay in this space for long enough, slowly the external realities start to disappear. And by that, I mean the external mindscapes that we have about the groups that we find ourselves in. For example, if you feel that you're not, the victim story is inside your head that I'm not abundant enough, I'm never going to be rich, or something like that, you'll slowly find yourselves leaving the group of all the people you consider to be poor, or whatever you were associating with. That, I'm in this fishbowl, well, poor people, and this is this fishbowl of rich people. You'll slowly find yourself getting out of it. If you are finding yourself in, unfulfilled relationships, you we're probably falling into this group of all the people who don't have fulfilling relationships, and then there's this other lucky ones who do. You slowly find yourself getting out of the group. If you're finding confidence is the problem, you slowly find yourself getting out of the group of people who have lack of confidence. As you slowly find yourself getting out of all these things, you find that you are extremely unique, that there's nobody like you. Now, while this might be a little bit ego boosting and just too much at times, it is not what we are here to really delve on. We are here to go further than that as well. Is that we start to see that this so called problem that we created for ourselves, the so called victim story, this why me story that we kind of created for ourselves, that our higher selves created for ourselves, also has an entrepreneurial germ in the sense that it has the DNA of what makes you you. And the more and more you continue with this process of questioning your own mind, you're going to come in touch with this entrepreneurial part of yourself, this part of yourself which knows why it's here, and the part of yourself which knows now how to navigate the future steps, which knows now that the so-called biggest problem that it has is something that it created itself. Now, if you can have a little bit more distance with your problem, the so-called unique problem that you created, you will start to see that you and the creator of the problem are one. So now, if you can hold on to this space a little bit longer, a few more days, few more weeks, if you can stay in that space, just meditate and stay in that space, that state of being aware of your own mind, you will slowly start to see that if you can create such a grave problem where your whole life feels shattered because of it, if you can create such a grave problem, the second time round when you're aware, you can make it less grave. Second time, as the creative process is going on, you can make this less grave. And the third time round, you can make it even less grave. I think you can see where I'm going with this. The more times you get aware of your own creative process of you creating this problem for yourself and then finding yourself in it, the more and more you keep doing these cycles, but in an aware fashion, the more and more distance you get, and the more and more self-knowledge you get, the more and more patterns you see within your own self, that, okay, this is the way I created my problem. So I didn't actually find myself in this problem. I am the one who created it and then put myself in a state of unawareness inside this, in a denser reality, like the reality we find ourselves in, the waking time, which is something that we're just not aware of, why we're here, who put us here, or what are we here for. So the more and more we start to go through these cycles, we start to realize more and more about the patterns that we create. And the more and more patterns we see, the more and more the tendencies we see about how we create them. There is a cyclic repetition to it. There is a certain rhythm to it. There is a certain beat to it. There is a certain periodic element to it. And once we kind of tap into this periodic element is when we're tapping into our own psyche as if it is summer and winter. Like the way we attune with nature, that we behave a certain way in the summer and we know that we behave a certain way in the winter. It's because we know that these are the cycles and this is the way we adapt. And once we know how to adapt, we know how to enjoy life on this planet because we are attuned to the weathers, right? To the cycles, to the basic cycles of it. If we can go to a point where we are accustomed and attuned to our own creative patterns of heaven and hell, of bliss and times of agony, we can be more attuned to acting promptly in them. And we can be more attuned to falling in tune with our own life cycles. Now, these are extremely profound life cycles. These are life cycles which will align you with your deepest core, with something even deeper than your soul. It can take you to the level of your spirit where you're completely aligned with yourself because you're just super aware, like super duper duper aware of how you're going about navigating your life. So somewhere around this point is where you start to see that your problem, the so-called problem in the beginning, is your USP, is your unique selling point, is your USP, is your entrepreneurial USP for anything you are to do on this earth. Now, entrepreneurial just doesn't mean you start a business or you start a band or you become an artist or you become a creative person or you just start anything. It really doesn't even mean that. By entrepreneurial, I mean is that we have found ourselves within this reality in a state of not complete awareness, a little bit of awareness, but not complete awareness, right? We are already entrepreneurial. We have put ourselves on this earth. Once we have taken this much responsibility, we are very much aware that we are the ones who put ourselves here. And when we can confidently tell ourselves that we are the ones who put ourselves here, we see every pursuit as entrepreneurial. You could literally just be in a 9 to 5 and still see yourself as entrepreneurial because you see yourself as you having put yourself there. Because if you are the ones who has put yourself there, you are the entrepreneur. It's like, say, for example, you've started a company and you are being a one-man band. You are, putting on different hats and doing different things. So when you do, for example, say, for example, you just started a restaurant and you're going around trying to hunt for whether it be vegetables or whether it be ingredients, whatever it is that you're going to hunt yourself at. You are not seeing it as a chore. You're not seeing it as, oh, I'm an employee who is going around hunting for vegetables because my boss told me. No, because you don't feel it that way. The reason is that you are the, I don't want to say owner, but you are the entrepreneur. You are the one who started it and you are just wearing a different hat at this time so that your restaurant, gets built in the way that you want it to be built. So you're just wearing one of those hats. So you are never, your self-esteem or your idea of self is never going to go down. It's always going to stay at the level of entrepreneur. It's always going to stay at the level of, you own yourself. You've not sold yourself to anything, really. So you get how this mind shift is going to really impact you. You are never going to see yourself as what you would call it as an employee or as someone who is dependent on an external event to feed themselves or to satisfy themselves or to nurture themselves or to realize themselves. You are constantly seeing yourself as you are the one who put yourself in it. And if it's a task that is quite lowly of yourself, that you would ideally not consider to be high, it really doesn't hurt as much, because you do not see it as being lowly. You see it as you are the entrepreneur. You have just chosen to do this because this is one of the tasks which are necessary for you to achieve your final goal. In this case of the restaurant, you just have to go right now and do, buy stuff, buy buy whatever it takes to get your restaurant kicking and starting. So you're not really seeing yourself as a victim of a circumstance. You're not seeing yourself as, oh shit, I'm having to do this. You're more seeing yourself as, I'm doing this, but I'm doing it for myself. I am doing X, Y, and Z. I'm doing a chore. It might be a chore, but I'm doing it for myself. And when you start to see that I'm doing it for myself, the whole vitality changes. The vitality of your actions changes, because you are not working for anybody. You are not working for anybody on earth. You're just working for yourself. And that's exactly what an entrepreneur is. Works for himself. And when you work for yourself, you have 10,000 times more energy. You have 10,000 times more vitality, because you know all the profits go to you. You know how, that the way you scale it is you keep everything, you keep all of it. Now, this might completely not be monetary. It could just be on a level of spirit, or on a level of satisfaction in terms of relationships. It could just be on a level of, how confident you feel internally and in your mind. It could just be about, as we said, just be about self-confidence, could just be about fulfilling relationships. It could be about, abundance in terms of monetary wealth. But whatever it is, you are finding yourself at the highest point in the ladder. You're finding yourself at a state where you see that whatever is the work that you're putting in, you are the one who's going to get 100% of the profits in the end. You're the one who's reaping all the benefits. And when you start seeing it like that, you have absolutely no qualms about working. You have absolutely no qualms about hard work. You have absolutely no qualms about showing up, because you're doing it for yourself. You're never going to feel the pain. You're never going to feel it as something that needs to be done. You're just going to see it as as investment. And when you start to see every action that you do, every work that you do as an investment into your higher self, into yourself. I don't even want to get higher anymore. Look, I just want to keep it at the same level now, because we have crossed that point. We have now merged. So every action, when you start to see it like an investment in yourself, which is going to fill up your bank account, or your confidence account, or your satisfaction account, or your freedom account, is when we can completely act out of a place of authority. And this is where we come down to now having complete clarity on what is it that we need to be entrepreneurial about. What is the business that we want to create? What is the medium that we want to choose for expressing our creativity? What is the kind of life we want to build for ourselves? What is the nature and type of freedom that we want for ourselves? Now we have complete clarity on that. And once we have complete clarity on that, there is not much stopping us from going ahead, because we have created all this for ourselves. With that, we're going to be stopping this installment. And in the next one, we're going to be talking about how you can now use all this information to create your own personal brand, to start your own business, to create your own artist Monica, or whatever that it is that you want to create, your own unique lifestyle, your own secret source of satisfaction. All this in the next one. Bye for now.